I'm glad to welcome here our first guest of the second panel, Helena Bjarnegärd, Swedish National Architect, to talk about design and sustainable living environments for everyone. Hello, Helena.
Hello.
Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So nice to be here, and thank you for inviting me. Yeah, I'm going to give you an overall perspective on architecture and the connection to sustainability. And I am going to tell you a little bit about the national policy for architecture in Sweden and how it connects to architecture and give you a lot of examples. I'm working at the Swedish National Agency for Housing, Building and Planning as the Swedish National Architect. And our job is to work with the government's national policy for architecture, design, art and culture heritage. And it's called Designed Living Environment. And right now I'm also working in the EU together with countries from all over the EU. And we're actually seeing the same thing right now, that everybody talks about the connection between architecture, built environment and sustainability. And it's both the indoor environment, of course, but also the big city planning scale. So I'm going to, see this overall perspective. The Swedish goal on architecture and design is that architecture and design will help us to create a sustainable society, sustainable, equitable, and less segregated society with carefully designed living environments in which everyone is placed to influence the development of their shared environment. So this policy is really about what architecture can do, not what architecture is, that it is a house, a building, a room, a landscape. It's what architecture can do to contribute to a sustainable society in many, many ways. And I'm just going to move like that. And there are some core values in this that we need to, have in our mind when we work with this. It's about having a holistic view. This is one of the core values, that we need to see the long-term social, environmental, and economic sustainability at the same time. We need to look at all the built environments according to utility, sustainability, and beauty. Beauty is important for us as people, as human beings, to feel comfortable, to feel safe, to feel welcomed to a place. And that's actually very, very important to us, to our health, to our stress levels, and so on. I hope someone will, talk about this in indoor environments. All scales from city planning to details is important. It's important to think of this when you plan, when you build, and also when you manage, because the environments that we build today, that we develop today, they will stand there for a long time. It's about the built environment and the process. And it's about people, seeing that the indoor environment, the city scale, the houses that we build, the landscape, they are there for people because we're going to live in those environments. It's designed living environments for people. And how can we feel comfortable? How can this contribute to lower stress levels in our bodies, to health, and so on? It's about time. It's about seeing the long-term perspective, to see that the places that we build today, they are already there. And we build them, we develop them, and they will stand there for generations ahead. And we have a responsibility. It's about the place, to see that the places there before, we need to see what kind of qualities do we have in this place? How can we develop them? And how can we add to them? Because the place is also part of the human history, the social perspective. And using the qualities at a place is also about taking care of the environmental and economic sustainability. It's about all scales, as I said before. It's about the big city scale, the big regional scale, the big cities. And it's also about the rural areas. Here's a picture from National Preserve in Sweden. And actually we designed places visitor centers in all the national reserves in Sweden. And that actually brings more people out to nature, which is good. It's about the neighborhood scale, feeling comfortable, feeling welcome to your neighborhood. It's about the big parks, the green areas, and feeling welcome and feeling comfortable. It's about the places in the middle of the town, as here a square close to Stockholm, where the kids really are invited to play at the same time as it is a very, very, nice square where people in all ages are, and it connects the city in different ways. It's about the building scales and how you add new buildings to a landscape, a city where there are already existing buildings, and how you manage all this for the future. It's about the inside and the outside, and how it connects in different ways. And this is the Sketches Museum in Lund in southern Sweden. And it's about the inside, and the architecture is also about letting the outside in. Here's an example from the National Museum in Sweden that was renovated 2 years ago, and actually with the aim to double up their people coming to visit this National Museum, but actually they tripled the amount of people when they worked with the architecture, when they worked with the light, when they worked with people feeling comfortable and enjoying the building in itself. And it's not just about architecture, it's about art. Art can be part of the built environment, as this monument for the tsunami in Stockholm that works both in the summertime and in the wintertime. And art can also be a part of the process, as you said, saw in the goal to involve people. That is very important for the social sustainability. Here in Umeå in northern Sweden, where artists really try out where people want to sit on this square. And art can also be a piece of a building or part of a building that can stand there for a long time, for generation, that can be part of our future culture heritage. So actually it's about architecture, the one that is already there, a part of our culture heritage. And it's about the new architecture that we're going to build, develop, and that is going to last for a long time in the future, and connecting those living environments to sustainability. And how can we do that? How can we prove that the architecture and design really matters for sustainability? Well, we can just do a quick check. We can look at the 17 SDGs, or maybe just a few of them. We can look at health and well-being, for example. This is a hospital in Gothenburg where environmental psychologists work together with the architects and the patients and the people working in this hospital. And they created a new type of hospital where you connect the inside with the outside, green areas, you let the light in and so on. And actually they can measure that the patients can go home earlier from this hospital than they could before in the old building that was much more closed. And also the amount of medicine use is low right now. So architecture can really actually contribute to health. We know this, and this is just one example. Then we have education, quality of education. Can architecture contribute to goal number 4? Yes, of course. Scientists also show that if the pupils have a playground that is green, where you can move around, it's very, very good for the education. The pupils will learn better. And also the interior design, how you work with that, that's also very good for the learning mechanisms in the brain. Scientists show this too. Equality, gender equality, and reduce inequalities, goals 5 and 10. Yes, of course. This is a new city park in Skellefteå in northern Sweden, a small town. It was a really boring square there before that people didn't feel safe going to. Now it's a green park that is very beautiful, and people in all ages are really there and feel safe and feel welcome. And a lot of people visit this place now, and they all feel welcome. Industry, innovation, infrastructure. Well, the earlier speaker talked about batteries, and also in Skellefteå we have the new factory growing up, Northvolt, that is going to it's a big industry working with batteries for electrifying. And at the same time, a lot of people want to move here, actually. And how can you develop a town that has been kind of sleeping for some years? And now they're developing a culture center in wood to also see if the wood industry can grow bigger and can be build more in wood, even those high tall buildings, not just the small cottages. And how can we develop architecture in wood in Sweden, because that's a material that we have so much of. Affordable and clean energy, climate action. We have so many examples of this, and this is just one example. It's from Malmö. It's part of the town that is very, very, very in the middle of the city center with old industrial buildings, and we need to rebuild them, let the people into the building, let companies into the building, make them homes and so on. So we need to rebuild those buildings. And when they are working with those buildings and those environments, they collect all the old materials, they map it, they store it. And when architects are going to develop new buildings and renovate the old buildings, they use the old material in circular economy to use the already built, that is resources that are already used in some way. So this is very good for environmental sustainability, clean energy, and so on. And we have so many more examples. Life on land, biodiversity. How do you work with this on a city planning level, or in the interior design, or in the street, as in this picture? We also have greenery in interior design in several hospitals and care facilities in Sweden, and it works very well. Peace and justice, strong institutions. Start with the kids, start with the children. Here in Malmö, they made playgrounds all over the town. And kids are really telling their parents that I want to go to another part of the town that I never visited before. Maybe the parents hasn't been there either. And now they can see that they can work with segregation and integration in this way by architecture, by landscape architecture. So what is this about? It's about the transformation of our whole society to be a more sustainable society. And as Ursula von der Leyen says in her New European Bauhaus initiative, it's not just an environmental, technical transformation, it's a culture transformation. Because we need to see that we work with the places where people live their lives and design places where we can live for generations. And maybe the most important thing to think of is to create, develop places that people can be proud of for a long, long time, because then we will take care of them. They will last for long, and that is sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you, Helena. Thank you very much. My first question leads to our, so to say, architecture and COVID, or the way we perceive architecture, the way we perceive our personal space and environment. Has it changed, or so to say, has COVID changed the way we look at architecture and public space? And can architecture react to such changes, to such societal changes so fast?
Absolutely. I'm the chair of something that is called sustainable cities in Sweden, and we had just made this COVID report actually. And we interviewed a lot of researchers and people working in this area, and they all say that they think that the need of green spaces will last. That we've been meeting outside, and everybody thinks that probably we will continue to do this, not as much as we do right now, but more and more people are questioning the ultra dense city, the very, very, very dense city, because we need to have outdoor space. We can see that that's important for kids, for elderly people, and so on. And we can also see that in Paris, they're working with a 15-minute city, and it's about thinking of a closed city where you can have everything that you need in 15 minutes walking distance. It can be a store, your school, and also park, naturally. So I think a lot of the things that we see happening right now this COVID year will last. Maybe they will bounce back a little bit, but we are learning about what we need as human beings in this very, very specific time, I think. And that's also about the interior, of course, and how we work. It's about how we build our homes. If we can do as I do right now, if we can work at home or not, and how the space we have at home, is it suitable to do several things, not just live, maybe also to work and so on. So it's a lot of learnings that we need to, take with us in the future work with this.
I have so many questions that are connected to this topic, but you talk about the fact that it's about big cities, about big communities, it's about scaling. Is this globalization movement, or is COVID putting maybe different pressures on this globalization movement? You said that 15-minute Paris. Will this scaling and community, so interconnectedness, develop in the context of COVID and the fact that we cannot meet? Maybe it will reverse this diversity, this idea that we all live as one community globally or in the cities.
Yeah, the things that people talk about right now, that we see the two movements at the same time. We see the globalization. I think it will continue, of course. But at the same time, we see another movement, and they kind of working in different directions. That people want to choose their own way of living. That more people question to live in a dense city. More people want to live in a smaller city or in the countryside. And when we look at figures for how much does a home cost in Sweden, we can see that small houses, the last month, the prices are really rising on small houses, and that's kind of a new movement that we haven't seen before. And people still want to have apartments, small apartments, mid-sized apartments, but we also see that more people ask for houses in small towns, houses on the countryside, and so on. So I think we have the two movements going in different directions at the same time, the globalization and the movement that people want to choose and want to have more choices, actually.
Well, I believe that's good. Thank you, Helena. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me come here and talk. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Short summary. Architecture is intrinsically connected to the well-being of our society in many various ways. It is important to choose a holistic, complex approach. We cannot look at only one of the sustainability goals, and the detail in this is of crucial importance. And if we are talking about big cities, big scales, and big projects, we cannot forget about all of the communities from various neighborhoods and interconnectedness between them. The question whether we live inside or outside is not important anymore. We live everywhere. Art should be part of the environment, as well as we need to keep in mind that in order to transform In order to become a resilient society, we need to transform ourselves.